The following is a presentation of iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to round number 8 of the Superspeedway Cup Series here on LSRTV. Rachel Wyford and Brian Macklin bringing you all the action tonight. Qualifying times, Brian, are in the book. We're just running through the final moments there. Well, Talladega once again. The track with the strange start-finish line and the big wide lanes. And guess who's back? Brandon Chaburko in the field tonight.
Anytime Brandon Chaburko is in the field, you can expect a wild night, and this Talladega Superspeedway is going to bring a lot of action, and it looks like he's going to come from the back. He took a provisional, he's going to start 25th, so watching him come through the field is going to be a lot of fun here tonight. We're getting ready to go through the starting lineup here in just a moment, Rachel. It's going to be a lot of fun. 94 laps on tap here tonight at Talladega. They got 2 more races until the playoffs begin, so for a lot of these drivers, they need to win to try to get themselves a spot into the playoffs.
They certainly are, and without further ado, we're going to go through your starting grid. On the pole tonight, Derek Walker, time at 50.263. Ruben out second, the third place, Paul Savant and Corey Henry, row number 2. Rodney Wofford and Rod Flagg, row number 3. Jason Altmans, Ramon Evans on row 4. Mark Jorgensen Jr. and Chris Passini, row number 5.
Starting in the 11th position in that row number 6 is Scott Warren. To his outside, Gary Champion. But then we have Garrett Atwell in the 13th position. Christian Peterson will start 14th. Defending series champion Andrew Berger. He starts 15th here tonight. He does not have a lock into the playoffs. He's in on points right now, but a win would secure himself a spot. He starts 15th. Shane McEachin starts 16th. Brandon Cruz Monsaveas starts 17th. Casey Malone is 18th. Kelly Dahl is 19th. And rounding out the top 20, Dan Harrington.
Starting on row number 11, Daniel Holloway and Larry Camp. Row number 12 is Joey Piccolea. And of our non-qualifiers, Brandon Chaburko back there in 25th with Frank Basile III, Kyle Manger, Joel Wood, and bringing up the rear, Dwayne Cooper. As we wait for the field to roll off, of course, Brian, big thank you to all our viewers and say hello to everyone there. But let's take a quick look at what we have in terms of points briefly, as we'll have a quick look at the series standing on round 8 here, of course, as we'll head towards the playoff cutoff on race number 14. As it stands, of course, Mark Jorgensen Jr. in with a win, Derek Walker, Shane McEachin, Brandon Chaburko, as 4 locked in with wins. But our points positions for those not in, Brian: Corey Henry, Rodney Wofford, Paul Savant, Garrett Atwell, Rod Flagg, Andrew Berger, Ruben out second, and Frank Basile III. Chris Passini and Brandon Cruz Monsaveas just hovering under that cutoff line. Those boys need a win.
Yeah, absolutely, and a win is the only way to guarantee that you're going to make it into the playoffs and be able to compete for that championship. Of course, there is going to be a few positions up for grabs as far as points are concerned, but the best way to do it is just to go out there and try to win the race. That way you don't have to worry about points, because that is the most stressful type of racing to do, is points racing. And for a lot of these drivers, especially being on a super speedway like this, you don't want to have to think about points. You just want to go out there and try to get the best finish that you can, and what better way to do it than to go out and get a victory.
Certainly is, and the field will roll out now, heading down the back stretch here at Talladega Superspeedway. Look at how wide that is. Of course, look at our track information for tonight's race. 94 laps of this 2.66 mile track. Of course, located here in Lincoln, Alabama. What a fantastic circuit it is, of course, Brian. Huge banking here, 3 stories high.
Yeah, it's absolutely unbelievable. This track is one of the most iconic tracks in NASCAR, and for all these drivers to have the opportunity to race here and to try to go for a victory, it just means so much to everybody in the field. And We've got 29 drivers on tap for this race here tonight that are looking to try to get a victory here at the Talladega Superspeedway. The pace car is heading through turns 3 and 4 right now, so we're getting ready to go green for 94 laps here. It's going to be a very exciting race. We expect to see lots of 2 and maybe 3 wide racing here tonight. Can't wait to get it started.
Oh, I think we can expect to see 3 wide racing here as the pace car will make the hard left turn down pit road, leaving the field in the command of Derek Walker, with Ray Rittenhour the second on the front row with him. The green flag will fly shortly. And we're racing here at Talladega. Round number 8 is underway.
Yep, the leaders have taken the green flag. We had a great restart on the outside line right there by Ray Rittenhour. He's trying to squeeze his way to the bottom of the racetrack as they go to turns 1 and 2. Never mind, he decides to stay to the outside as they work through the first corner of this race. The number 20 down on the bottom, that's Derek Walker. He started on the pole. He's trying to get the run down the back straightaway now, but he does not have the push that he needs. As it stands right now, Ray Rittenhour has got the run down the back straightaway, and he's holding the lead as they head to turn 3.
Certainly is. Big push there by Ray Rittenhour the second, and Paul Savant there in the... Oh, no, it's not Paul Savant, it's Corey Henry. 87 and the 12 getting themselves out front, leaving the number 10 Grand Prix there of Rod Flag hung out to dry on the outside. But one of the first times this season, Brian, we've seen a good start by the outside line on that initial start of the race, and we will come across the tri-oval towards the start-finish line here. Of course, located on the run towards turn 1 here at Talladega, with the outside lane getting 2 cars past the leader on the first lap. Almost unheard of in the series.
Yeah, it almost looked like the number 20 of Derek Walker just did not time the green flag well. He waited till the green flag was actually waved by the flagman, and I think maybe he just mistimed it where Ray Rittenhour was able to time it better, and it worked out in his favor along with Corey Henry as well. They were both, like you said, able to get clear from the outside line to the inside line, and now they control this race. And control this race from the inside line. There's 4 cars lined up on the bottom before you get to a car on the outside, and that's still Rod Flag. He's got a couple of cars behind him, but he just doesn't have the speed and the momentum that he needs right now. And as I say that, we have a battle for the lead. Here comes Corey Henry and Derek Walker making the move for the lead in the tri-oval.
And of course, there's a team effort here from Dark Horse. Look at this, the 3 cars managed to make a move there, coordinated attack. You saw the 7 of Wofford pull out very early on there. He added to that train, got them a bit of momentum going, and the 12 and the 20 will get clear. Corey Henry, Derek Walker on the outside there. Rodney Wofford leading the trio. As teammates can organise it now, there's a bit of a shuffle behind them, and the 51 nearly gets shoved down the track there by the 83 car of Ramon Evans as it goes 3 wide for the lead. 3 Dark Horse cars to the front.
Yeah, those guys, they may be teammates right now, but they did not look like teammates going down the back straightaway. They were all over the place trying to control the lines, and as it turns out, Derek Walker is going to come out on top of this battle as he's holding the lead as they come to the tri-oval this time by. You've got Corey Henry in the number 12 on the outside line trying to fight back. He's got help from Rod Flag, and a little bit further back, the number 7 of Rodney Wolford. He's stuck 3 wide on the outside line. He does have help behind him. I believe that's Chris Bassini to his back bumper, so they're working, trying to make that outside line work, but so far they're not having any success. But off turn 2, here comes Corey Henry. He's got a big push as they come off the corner, trying to take that lead away from his teammate Derek Walker as they head down the back straightaway.
Certainly is. It's 3 wide back in the pack there, and look who's in the middle of that one. Of course, Brian is the 22 car. Wasn't here last week, but well, Brandon Traberco back in your field and already putting the cat amongst the pigeons as he shuffles through the middle here of this 3 wide, getting past the 7 of Wofford and Bassini there in the 1. He shuffles himself forward to go. Started 25th in this race of 28, and he's already up to 17th. As it's a lot of movement at the front at the moment, Brian. This is actually pretty hectic. These guys taking a few laps here to get settled, but well, that Pontiac Grand Prix of Flag is trying to get his way to the front here.
Yeah, and he's doing a really good job. But I tell you what, Ray Rittenhour just had a moment going through the tri-oval about a half a lap ago. He got loose down on the bottom of the racetrack and had to hang on to that car, and somehow he managed to do it without wrecking the entire field. If he had lost control of that car, that easily could have been half the field, if not more. But he did an incredible job hanging on to that car. Meanwhile, Corey Henry did just take the lead from Derek Walker. He was able to get clear with a big push from Rod Flag. He jumped down in front of his teammate, and now he controls this race once again. This is going to be a second time to the lead. You got Rod Flag on the outside of Ray Rittenhour as they come to the stripe. He's got help from the number 83 machine of Ramon Evans. They're trying to get something going on the outside line as Ray Rittenhour slides up the track and almost makes contact with Rod Flag. Somehow he manages to keep it under control again. but it did hurt the momentum of those guys on the outside line. Rod Flagg's going to have to work hard again, and now here comes Derek Walker trying to take this lead. Rachel, they may be teammates, but they are not racing like it right now at all. They are all over each other.
Well, this is something we tend to see, of course, Brian, as we are in the early stages of this one. We tend to see the boys race it out here, of course. Multiple teams in this event. They will race pretty hard in the early going. They are getting a feel for this race. Let's not forget they do have one fast repair on these cars. They can get that car back in mint condition. Let's say a backup car for this series available to them. They can just hop straight into that and head back out on track. And, well, they get to have a bit of a play around early on. You do want to save that option, though, should you need it. There is a 20 of Derek Walker, drops down to the low side. Leaving the 20 once again on the high side. 12 underneath him, can't get down again. Flag is destined to stay up high. Just cannot catch a break. The 83, the 23, and the 88 give him a good push. Look who's creeping up on the outside. Going to take it 3 wide there with the number 92 car of Casey Malone. It's that Motorcraft Ford Fusion. He's looking as the Exalt Chevrolet there. The 88 machine of Bart Jorgensen Jr. creeping ever forwards.
Yeah, we talked about Brandon Chaburko in the pre-race and said he was going to make some noise tonight. Well, we're only 7 laps in. He's already climbed his way from 25th as they cross the stripe this time by. He's up to the top 10. He's in 10th right now, so he's definitely on the move. He's making a lot of noise as he goes to the outside, trying to make it 3 wide again in the middle of the pack. He looks to the outside of Casey Malone, trying to make that third line work, but he doesn't have enough help right now. He's got 1 car behind him. Now he's got another car thinking about sneaking up to in front of him on the outside line. We might have a third groove starting to form, and as soon as I say that, they all bail out and go back to that middle groove. So it's going to be a while, Rachel, before I think we see that third groove move and really start to work. They're going to need many cars up there if they're going to make it happen, and right now we're just not seeing any organization out of those guys. We do have
sneaking forwards. We're seeing some big sneaking forwards here amongst these guys. Look at this 3 wide back behind your lead group. Single file for the top 5, but it's 3 wide, a little deeper in your pack. Got the on the low side, of course, like I said, 51, the 18, and the 76. The middle lane, the 83, the 23, 22, and 92. Up there on the top, it's Garrett Atwell and Mark Jorgensen Jr. Things very busy. Flag's going to pull out again and try and make something happen, try and lead this group forwards, but you are right there, Brian. It's very messy so far in the field.
Yeah, these guys have been racing like every lap was the last lap since the drop of the green flag, and we're only 9 laps into this 94-lap event. They've got a lot of time left. I guess, like you said, they have a backup car essentially with having the one reset in this series, so they know they can go out here and race hard for a while. If they get caught up in a wreck, they can go to pit road, get a fresh car, and do it all over again. I just don't know if I'd want to put myself in that in that position this early on. Corey Henry now looks to the outside of the lead, are trying to take the lead as they go through turns 1 and 2. He didn't have any help though when he made that move. I think he was expecting somebody to come up with him. Nobody did, and now he's falling back. He's got the 51 now, finally getting to his back bumper. That's Jason Altman trying to push him now as they go down the back straightaway. But the momentum that he lost has hurt this outside line temporarily. It's going to take them a little bit of time to get back up to speed.
Certainly is, as they do just that. It's being very busy here in the early laps. On lap number 10 of 94 here at Talladega Superspeedway, the cars are all over the place. The racing is frantic as, look at that, up to the top, dives into the middle. Chaburko splits this tree stump there like an axe as he just dives in and forms himself in the middle lane, forcing his way there below Jorgensen Jr. This car started at the back, let's not forget, folks. He's already working his way into that top 5 now, shoving his way to the front. This is incredible movement. We've seen this car come through the field in 10 laps.
Yeah, absolutely. Brandon Chaburko just making all kinds of moves. He keeps getting closer and closer to the front. It's only going to be a matter of time before he is there. We are 3 wide through most of this front pack now. Just a couple of laps ago, we were talking about how that third line wasn't working. It's starting to work just a little bit as you have, I believe that's Mark Jorgensen up on the outside line trying to push somebody to the lead in that third groove, and they're making moves up on the outside. That's Christian Peterson in the 23 in front of him. They're starting to make something happen, and Chaburko slices and dices his way to the bottom of the track. They're 3 by 3 in the first couple of rows. Corey Henry's trying to hang on to this lead on the inside line, but he's got a big challenge coming from behind with all of these guys that are pouncing on him, just waiting to try to get their opportunity to lead this race.
Yes, they certainly are, and things very hectic. Look at this front group here, Brian. These guys getting very dicey. Chaburko slicing his way through this, and we missed him last week, of course. He wasn't here, but we have certainly noticed his return as the 25 car pulls up. Everyone's changing lanes. This is like trying to find. This is like standing at the popcorn counter at the movie theaters, Brian. Everyone's swapping lanes, trying to find the shortest one as each one moves differently. No one can decide which lane they want to be in.
Yeah, and that's just a recipe for disaster. As Brandon Chaburko, he went to the outside line, he dropped back to the inside line, doing exactly what you just said. He can't make up his mind on which lane he wants to be in. He looked to the outside for a second, now he goes to the inside line, trying to get behind Corey Henry as they work down the back straightaway. The number 20 of Derek Walker jumped up in front of him for a moment, and Brandon Chaburko said, not today. I'm going to go to the bottom, and I'm going to try to push somebody else. He's trying to work his way to the inside of the number 20 machine now as they come off turn 4. Doesn't have the momentum he needs. Derek Walker's going back to the lead, and here comes Mark Jorgensen looking to the outside. 3 wide for the lead as they head to the start-finish line.
3 wide indeed. The 12, the 20, the 88. Look at this. Mark Jorgensen Jr. Didn't take him long to get back to the lead after qualifying in 9th. He is clear, and he will drop all the way down as he comes off the corner with a big speed boost there, carrying him onto the backstretch. And it's a huge hustle there. The 10 of Rod Flagg. He pulls that Pontiac Grand Prix down onto below the yellow line. He wants out of this mess. He wants no part in what is about to be the apocalypse. The 51 will pull down in front of the 20 there of Derek Walker. 51 car, Jason Altman's getting himself there as the 25 goes up the hill. He's blown up, I think. He has indeed. Yeah, Holloway is blown up there. 26 machine. He has dropped. 25 car, Kyle Manga has blown up, pulling himself down pit road, although he will make it. He had enough speed to get down pit road with no engine. And things settle down briefly, but this is just breathing room.
Yeah, fortunately for Kyle Manger and the number 25 machine, a blown motor does get covered in that free reset, so he's going to be able to get a reset and get back out there. The problem is he's going to get out there and he's not going to have any drafting help, so he is going to go a lap down, and if he can't get caught up in that draft when they come around, he might go more than that, so we have to keep an eye on that. Meanwhile, back up front, the number 51 of Jason Altman makes his way to the lead. He's not going to have it for long, though. Here comes Derek Walker on the outside line, trying to find a little bit of help as they come off turn 4. He's got some help from Christian Peterson right behind him. Mark Jorgensen now starting to make some moves on the inside line. Of course, he just made that 3 wide move for the lead. Now he's going to try to take another stab at the lead. He shoves Derek Walker to the outside line. Then he looks to the bottom. These guys are all over the place, Rachel. This has been some insane racing, and we're only 16 laps in.
Certainly has been. This has been crazy racing so far. 16 laps in the books. Jason Altman's your current race leader with Mark Jorgensen Jr. Derek Walker back there in 3rd place, and they're cutting up and down. This is almost insane what we're watching here, Brian. As the 20 cuts to the outside, it's going to make it 3 wide again with an overlap there for the lead of this race. This is like watching the Carb Cup, but on fast forward with mildly less wrecking for now. How long can these guys go before someone makes a false move here and the entire top 10 is toast? And these are all, let's look at who we've got here. Mark Jorgensen Jr., Jason Altman, Corey Henry, Christian Peterson, Brandon Chaburko, Derek Walker, Shane McEachin, Raymond Evans, Andrew Berger. These are who we expect to be our race winners. So, with that regard, these guys could all wipe out. Oh, Chaburko making a crazy move, but these are all guys we expect could win the race. They're all going to wipe out one of their backup cars if they junk these cars right now, and they are heading in that direction. And if it does happen, it will be huge as Chaburko cuts down in front of the 83 of Ramon Evans with barely enough room for a contingency decal to slide between the bumpers.
I tell you what, you've got 15 drivers that are racing their hearts out, 14 drivers, excuse me, that are racing their hearts out, and then you have the ones that are smart, that are hanging back. From 15th on back, they've lost this front draft. I think they saw all this mess going on, and they said, I don't want any part of it. You've got those guys more than a second behind, just hanging back there, waiting for that chaos to happen, and Brandon Chaburko almost made it happen right there as he moves suddenly to the outside line, trying to find the speed. He's got help from behind. He slices to the bottom.
Oh my gosh.
Now. Brandon Chaburko making all kinds of crazy moves in the early stages of this race. He has not yet found the lead, but with moves like that, I assure you he will be there very, very soon. He's looking to the inside now once again on Corey Henry. He's got the number 51 machine of Jason Altman's to his outside. and he's pushing Mark Jorgensen. And Mark Jorgensen, what a drive he has had. He's been making some incredible moves as well. He's leading this race. He's going to try to hold on for another lap, and he does at the strike. Corey Henry trying to fight on the outside line, and now we've got another car trying to make it 3 wide with very little help. McEachin on the outside now. He's going to slide us back into the second groove, and Chaburko goes up, and we have contact.
Oh, problems!
There they go.
Big problems, and the caution will fly for the first time, and what a surprise, Brian. It was Brandon Chaburko. Replay coming up for you. Brandon Chaburko causing our first caution as he flies up the track off the second corner. And race control probably going to give him a fine for that one as he punts the 28 car of Shane McEachin into the outside wall there. That peak machine getting dumped unceremoniously into the outside wall. And he comes down, he comes off the safer barrier and turns the 24 car. Big junk here, lap number 19 of 94. It was going to happen sooner or later, and I'm surprised they managed nearly 20 laps.
Yeah, I am absolutely amazed they were able to race for 19 laps like this without having that kind of an accident happen way before now. Absolutely incredible. We're getting ready to go on board with the number 92 of Casey Malone. You'll see that in just a moment. You're going to see what he saw coming through that wreck. It was an absolutely insane wreck, and he made it through cleanly, so should be very exciting to watch what he saw here in just a moment. I expect, Rachel, we'll see all these drivers come down and at least get fuel. They may not need tires, but they're definitely going to need fuel. They only have a 70% size fuel tank from what these cars can normally hold, so they were probably fast approaching green flag pit stops anyway. We should see them all coming down for at least fuel, probably some tires as well.
Certainly will be expecting 4 tires and fuel for your pack here in the Superspeedway Cup Series, as we are on lap number 20. Of course, if you are playing the official Superspeedway Cup Series drinking game, 22 causes a caution, take 2 shots.
Well, luckily for me, I have a little bit of Jack Daniels that I can do just that, so we're going to be in for a night. Everybody's on pit road now. We're going to be interested to see if anybody tries any 2 tires or no tire stops. Mark Jorgensen's going to be the first one into his pit box. Looks like he's going to get in nice and clean. I don't see any tires.
Oh, problems, 51.
Jason Altman slid through his box, and he's trying to get service now. Looks like everybody's going to get 4 tires and fuel. Be interesting to see who's going to be the first one out. Looks like Jason Altman is going to get down and away. Or, I'm sorry, Mark Jorgensen is going to get down and away and be the first car off pit road, followed by Corey Henry. And then we have a 3-way battle for that 3rd position. Not sure who won it. And getting word that somebody spun out on pit road. Rachel, we'll have to figure out who that was so we can go make
certainly will find out who that was who had the spin. It is. I believe it's a car. It's also blown his engine or something. I'm looking now for who this was. And I think you are right. Roger Buff, 71. I'm going to show you what happened there for him as he goes to turn into his box and he cuts in front of the 82. Oh, he chops the nose off the 82 machine there of Dan Harrington and spins himself into the pit wall. Bonk goes the engine. Someone has a crash on pit road. Drink.
Well, I don't know if I can keep up with that. You're going to see the replay on your screen now. It just looks like maybe he locked the brakes up when he was trying to slide into his box. Almost looks like he missed his box and realized it at the last second that he was going to pass it and tried to slam on the brakes so that he could get into his pit box and just didn't make it. Fortunately for him, it looks like he's got a reset. Unfortunately, though, Rachel, you don't want to use that on pit road with a mistake like that. You want to have that reset for an accident on track like we just saw. So he's going to have to be really careful for the remainder of this race because now if he gets caught up in a wreck, his night's pretty much over.
I hate to use Roger Buff as an example of this, but this is why, folks, we need to be a little careful and use our eyeballs on pit road because you could turn across the front of things as we do briefly have the Pontiac Grand Prix of Rod Flag was leading the race. For those of you who might be a little confused, we'll have a quick look at his car right now, of course. Take a look at the front, and you'll see that it actually says Pontiac and Grand Prix on the front. So no, folks, we're not blind and thinking a Chevrolet SS is a Pontiac. Rod wants us to think it is too. He also has a special message from Mark Jorgensen Jr. Hopefully you can see that one there. Anybody but Jorg. I think there's some feelings there, Brian.
There might be some feelings. Mark Jorgensen's been a staple of super speedway racing for a long time. We've seen why here tonight, too. He has just been absolutely amazing throughout the first part of this race. And he's so good at being in the right place at the right time to go ahead and capture that victory at the end of the race that I think maybe some of these guys just get tired of seeing him win so much. And for Rod Flag, it certainly sounds like that's the case for him too. So we get to celebrate his Pontiac Grand Prix. We haven't seen that in a NASCAR series for a long time, so it's cool to see that out there. And of course, he's going to poke fun at Mark Jorgensen as well. So good fun here in the
does. I believe
Superspeedway
it's a
Cup
sport
Series.
in the Super Speedway Cup Series is taking the Mickey out of Mark Jorgensen Jr. Probably also taking the Mickey out of Brandon Jaburko for crashing. But if you are wondering, folks, where Evan Bersoko is this week, of course, you cannot drink for the usual playing option of Evan Bersoko is at Monster Trucks. Because he's not playing with Monster Trucks this week. He would rather go to Las Vegas to watch the NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series than be here for you in the Super Speedway Cup Series. So that's how much Evan cares about you all. Unfortunately, we, however, Brian, we love you lots.
Oh, absolutely. We love our viewers, and we're not like Evan Pasoko. We don't prefer NASCAR races over our wonderful Super Speedway Series Cup. We're going to be here every Friday night, and we're going to enjoy it while Evan is at the track getting a sunburn. So, sucks to be him, right?
It certainly does. The field will get ready to go, of course, back to green flag racing very soon. I don't think we're too wide yet. Don't forget, we use some advanced stuff for our timing, of course, Brian, and also we use something that everybody else at home can use for their own sim racing, and that is Joel Real Timing. Of course, coverage of the Super Speedway Cup Series brought to you by Joel Real Timing, the official timing software of LSRTV. You can get it today at joel-real-timing.com, joel-real-timing.com, and you can download that today, and that is fantastic timing software for you to use at home for your own racing. It's like having telemetry up on the pit box, but on your computer.
Yeah, and how cool would that be to be able to have that when you're out there on the racetrack? You can go and look at that. You don't have to worry about scrolling through the iRacing standings. You can just look at that. It's pretty neat. The field is doubled back up, though. The lights are off on the pace car, so we're going to get back to action here in about a half a lap. They're working down the back straightaway. Mark Jorgensen is your race leader. As they stand, you've got Corey Henry to his outside, then Ramon Evans, Garrett Atwell, Casey Malone in the top 5. All of these guys trying to get up there and battle with the front runners. And I wonder, Rachel, are we going to see as wild of a race now that they've had one caution, or do you think these guys are going to settle down and try to log a few laps? We still have 70 laps to go. This is still a long race.
We certainly do, of course. I think these guys, they have short-term memory issues, of course, Brian, because they forget what happens every single race. So they go out on track like it's the end of all times. They have a huge amount of racing, then someone crashes and ruins the party. Then they remember what happens in races when someone crashes, and they calm down for the next 20-30 laps. However, sometimes we can be proven wrong. We'll have to see what they do this time by, of course. 12 and the 88 on the front row there with Atwell and Ramon Evans behind them. The 88, Mark Jorgensen Jr. in command of your field here. We'll come through the tri-oval, and we will see what will happen on this run. Coming on to lap number 24 of 94. 70 to go. Jorgensen Jr. gets the green flag. He will cross the stripe. We're racing again at Talladega.
And once again, just like the initial start, the outside line gets a good start. However, there's contact for that second position on the outside line. It looks like that was the number 4 of Garrett Atwell. He made a little bit of contact with the 83 of Ramon Evans. That breaks up the momentum on the outside line. And as they come off turn 2, here goes Ramon Evans. He looked to the outside. Jorgensen comes up to block. And they make contact. They almost go sideways down the straightaway. Jorgensen now goes back to the bottom. Ramon Evans trying to take the lead on the outside line. That momentum was broke again, though, when Jorgensen pulled up to block. That hurt the outside line. There's really no formation now. And
Brian,
as they work through 3 and 4,
Ramon
Ramon Evans is by himself.
Look back at the pack here. 3 wide racing right at the back of your field we just had on the back stretches. This field spread out dramatically. They saw problems at the front, and they pulled back here. It's definitely making things a little different. These guys have certainly not calmed down at all. They do not want any part in this action. Everyone trying to eject from this situation, but the pack is starting to reform. It's just going to take some time here. Oh, the 4 and the 22 contact there.
Yeah, the 4 has been making some aggressive moves since the drop of the green flag on this restart. Now he tries to get back in line behind the 83 of Ramon Evans. A lap ago, Ramon Evans was fighting for the lead. Now we see him just fighting to stay inside the top 10. He's got help from Garrett Atwell behind him, but they're not making any progress right now. They're going to need a couple more cars. That's Brandon Chaburko up there behind him as well. Kind of surprised to see that he's this far back. He's still trying to get himself back up inside the top 10 as well. Single file at the front right now. It looks like everybody at the front of the field, Rachel, has decided to calm down for a moment. Maybe that's because all the rough riders are in the back right now trying to work their way back to the front of the pack. Of course, they were just caught up in that big wreck, and now they have that reset being used up, so they have to play a little bit smarter here in the last part of this race.
Certainly is that, and last part we are not even at yet. We're still in the early days of this one, and yes, you are right. Most of our troublemakers here are right at the back of your field. Derek Walker, Brandon Cruz Monsivice, rooming out second. Likes of Jason Altman's, Frank Basili the third, and of course Kyle Manger. They are all back in the back of Passini with issues towards the front. Or no, he's making moves. Chris Passini, the 28 car of Shane McEachin, giving him a push here. They're going to charge to the outside now of the 88 and the 92 car. These machines kicking up sparks there in the tri-oval, Brian. They are bottoming out as the banking drops away. But there's a big push by Passini. Can he clear Jorgensen Jr.?
Yeah, that's the question we're going to have to wait and see. And then right now, Chris Passini trying to make that move on the outside line with help from Shane McEachin. It's 2 versus 2 right now as they work down the back straightaway. Passini has the advantage. He's got the better push. It looks like him and McEachin are edging their way ahead or forward as they head to turn 3. And Passini leaves him out and barely makes his way to the bottom of the racetrack. You couldn't fit a piece of paper between him and Mark Jorgensen as they went into turn 3. Chris Passini to the lead. They're back single file at the front as now Shane McEachin is searching for some help. He's slipped all the way back to 5th. He looks like he's going to lose a few more spots as nobody is on the outside line willing to push him. Chris Passini leads here on lap number 28. And now, as I say that, the number 41, Joey Piccolella, moves to the outside line. But he is too far ahead of Shane McEachin. They're not really making any progress right now. They're going to have to get better bunched up if they want to have a chance.
They certainly are. And Piccolella on the outside, no help for him. You'll have to try and find something to help him getting going forwards. And McEachin will beat that car. Who's coming from behind him though? It's Troublemaker Chaburko and the 7 of Warford. Going to start moving forwards here. Will they pick up these pair, Brian, or will they just go round them and make their own thing happen? Warford and Chaburko, they are very used to making this thing happen on their own, but as they drop down, they are going to get in there with McEachin and Piccolella. We're going to see a charge forming here on the outside. Will anyone come up to join them?
I think as you see these guys start to work their way back towards the front, you will see some guys jump up in front of them to try to make that move. And then Shane McEachin just drops to the bottom of the racetrack. And so what was a 4-car line on the outside line is now 3. And it looks like that number 41 is looking to fall back to Brandon Chaburko. And with not having enough cars up there, they're going to have a very hard time making anything happen. Chaburko almost makes contact with Shane McEachin on the inside. Now the 41 goes way high. Brandon Chaburko looked like for a moment he was going to try to split the middle. He thought better of it. He decided to get back in line. I think he realized he's going to need a little bit of help if he's going to get back to the front. These guys are battling just outside of the top 10, trying to make that second line work. And now we have a car up towards the front of the pack. That's Corey Henry, Shane McEachin. Both of those drivers at the same time decided to move to the outside line. So slowly but surely, they're trying to make that outside line work again.
Certainly are. The 88 is going to drop back in line there. The 12 on the outside. He'll be ahead of the 28. Here comes the Pontiac. Oh, flag. He's going to pull up, try and... Oh no, McEachin going to go round him there. The Toyota of McEachin. That Pete Machine. Jorgensen coming up to take control of this middle lane. He wants to go past Passini. And with the bottom line not quite as formed up here, this could happen right now, Brian.
Yeah, it looks like Mark Jorgensen made the move at the right time. He's got the push from Corey Henry as they come off turn 4. He's got the advantage. He's got the momentum, but Chris Passini's fighting back. He's got Casey Malone starting to give him a push as they come through the tri-oval. However, Mark Jorgensen's going to have the advantage. He's going to clear him and lead at lap number 31. Does he move to the bottom? Yes, no, he doesn't. He stays in that middle group for the time being. Corey Henry looked to the outside for a moment, but decided to stay in line behind him. And then you've got Rod Flag and that Pontiac trying to make something happen as they come off turn 2. And look at that. Here comes Brandon Chaburko trying to make it 3 wide down the back straightaway.
What a surprise. Chaburko, in the words, 3 wide in the same sentence here on LSRTV.
Crazy, right?
Something we seriously don't expect to hear very often, but what the heck, we'll go with it for this one as he's behind Flag there on the outside lane. Contact! Ooh, someone's blown up. The 12 of Corey Henry was pushing too hard. Gonna get you a replay of that moment as this is how experienced these guys are, Brian. They get out of the way, no problem for them, and they will drop he drops down to the apron, I should say, as he goes. Barely contact there with Piscini. Replay there showing for you. Piscini just gets on the brake just in time. He saw it coming. Hopefully the 12 will get back out on the track.
That could have been disastrous, and we almost have another near disaster moment as Jorgensen throws a big block for the lead as they work down the back straightaway. Somehow these guys hang on, but they're 3 by 3 in the first couple of rows here. Mark Jorgensen on the bottom trying to hang on. You've got the 10 of Rod Flag on the outside line. You've got Garrett Atwell in the third groove. All of these guys are racing like it's the last lap once again. And here we go as they go through the trial. Rod Flag trying to take the lead. Is he going to have the push to get to the line? It looks like he might be able to do it. At the stripe, timing and scoring says Jorgensen's going to lead by just a half a nose or so. Just barely hanging on to the lead, but Rod Flag fighting back hard on the outside line. Shane McKeechin trying to give him the push off too.
Certainly is. The racing has not calmed down a bit here on LSRTV as up to the top goes Jorgensen Jr. Rod Flag gonna see if he can find an opening here if he gets clear of Chaburko, but Chaburko will not back out, we know that much. McKeechin, and we go 3 wide as we get lap traffic. That's Corey Henry. Who's your points leader without a win, of course. He needs those points. He'll hopefully get him back on the lead lap at some point. As Chaburko squeezes through a gap there to the outside. Can he make the move here on Jorgensen Jr.? He goes up high, going to get that momentum to chop down. He will be clear. Watch him swipe across the front to the 88 car. Brandon Chaburko to the point on lap 34.
It's taken him a lot longer than I thought it would take to get to the point, but on lap 34, Brandon Chaburko does it. Mark Jorgensen, however, does not want him to stay there long. He looks to the outside. Now he slices to the bottom. Chaburko blocks, but I think Jorgensen, no, he was not able to get there. Now he looks to the outside again. He has to stay on the inside, though, for now, because Rod Flag is to his outside. Rod Flag trying to make the move for the lead as they go through 3 and 4. Once again, he's got help from Shane McKeechin coming off the corner, but it looks like Chaburko's going to have the advantage. He's got a little bit better push from Mark Jorgensen as they go through the tri-oval. The outside line is working good, but they're just not formed up well enough to outpace Brandon Chaburko and Jorgensen. Chaburko looks to the outside, now Jorgensen to the inside for the lead, but Jorgensen doesn't have any help as they go through turns 1 and 2.
This is the same story, a different racetrack and a different week here as we have Jorgensen Jr. and Chaburko fighting now for that top spot here at Talladega Motor Speedway. Pack forms up now as we get a good push on the outside. Will Chaburko clear? And we know he'll slice down the second he is clear. That's not going to be this lap though as they go into 3 and 4. Flag and Wofford behind them, Piscini and McKeechin. And Rowe behind that. Things getting intense, Brian. We are approaching the halfway point, or will be in about 10 laps, but the 1 and 7, of course, they are teammates. They're working together. Chaburko is working with nobody, and we'll soon see what he will do, but things are very busy.
Oh, busy indeed. Brandon Chaburko is probably the busiest of them all as he's pinching that inside line, trying to make something happen. Now Jorgensen comes up to block him as he saw that Chaburko had the run as they come off the corner. Jorgensen made that move to make sure that he wasn't able to take the lead. Now as they head back to turn 3, he goes back to the bottom. This kind of makes you wonder if there's something to the anybody but Jorgensen thing that Rod's got on his car, because Jorgensen is making the most amazing moves out here. He looks like a veteran leading this field. And now he tries to hold off the number 7 of Rodney Walfer as they go through the tri-oval. Able to do so once again as he's able to slide up in front of him. Now Walfer goes high to the third groove. He's got Chaburko to his outside. They're 3 wide for second. Chris Piscini, Rodney Walford, and Brandon Chaburko as they work through turns 1 and 2. Now Chaburko slots back in line, trying to get behind the 7 of Rodney Walford to give him a push off 2.
You know what, Brian? I think the anyone but Jorgensen Jr. is perhaps the saying for the 10 car, but everybody else in his field is saying anybody but the 22, as it seems like every car in his field is dedicated to stopping Chaburko getting to the front. Might be the safest place for him. They might want to think about that fact, but nobody seems to want to let him get past, as it seems to be the Dark Horse guys and the 88 car all trying to just keep him away from the front of this one.
And Jorgensen almost could have gotten turned right there. He was trying to play the lines. He pulled up in front of the 7 for a moment, then pulled back down in front of Piscini. And when he pulled down in front of Piscini, he almost got turned into the...
Oh, contact! Oh, big junk here at Talladega. Caution will fly again. 41 car blows over Joey Piccolela has had an issue. We're going to watch a replay for you in just a second as their 71 car. We've had issues with him before, of course, turned in pit road. Roger Buff there comes up, tags the 41, turns him around, and, well, it's Talladega. You know what happens. The 41 car will flip. 2 barrel rolls, many blown engines, and we're back under yellow here at Talladega.
Our second yellow of the day, and for some of these guys, it's probably a good thing they needed another breather, because for another almost 20 laps, these guys were racing pretty insane. The restart was a little calm. They took 2 or 3 laps to get situated, and then once they got situated, all kinds of chaos broke loose once again. And for Mark Jorgensen, I am so amazed at the moves that he was able to make at the front of the field, playing the lines and protecting that lead the way he did. It was just such an incredible display of intelligence and ability out of that driver. It was just amazing.
I think I'd rather say it's an incredible display of luck and wishful thinking in some of those moves, as things were very close between the 88 and the 22 at times. Those 2 cars swapping positions with barely a whisper of air between them. Pit stops will be coming up shortly. We are going to step aside for a very short break here on LSRTV. We'll be back with you in time for the green.
iRacing, you wanted the best, you got them for a breast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
Welcome back to the Superspeedway Cup Series here on LSRTV. Rachel Wyford and Brian Macklin with you in the booth. I nearly forgot your name, Brian, for a second, but pacing here, lap 41. We're not quite back to green flag conditions yet, but we are soon approaching your halfway point of the race, so things are definitely heating up, and there's a lot to play for these guys yet. Jorgensen Jr., Chris Passini, your front row for the restart coming up, with Wofford and Malone behind them, Flagg and McEachin, Chaburko and Altmans behind them. So far, Brian, things have been very, very intense.
Yeah, very intense, and they're blocking under caution right now. Jorgensen and Passini are having a little bit of fun with each other as they're getting ready to take the one to go, I believe. We'll see here in just a moment, but it looks like the lights on the pace car are indeed going to go off, so they're going to do another 2.5 miles on this track under caution. Then we're going to go back green and see if we can do it to the end of the race. But yes, very busy indeed in the first 40 laps of this event. These guys have been 2 and 3 wide, and I was speaking to one of the drivers under that commercial break, Kelly Daw, and he said this is tame for the Superspeedway Series. I guess because I'm not here every week, I don't get to see it, but Rachel, you're here more than I am. Is this indeed tame compared to what we normally see?
You know what? This is exactly what we see every week here in the Superspeedway Cup Series. Every week we get fantastic action, and as everyone just saw, of course, in that commercial break, yeah, dirt is coming soon. You'll be able to catch some of that live on LSRTV also, as I guarantee we will have coverage of fantastic dirt racing. But you know what? This is as close as you'll get to dirt racing on asphalt, I think, in some cases, Brian, because these cars are flat out and sideways here on the high banks of Talladega and Daytona every single Friday night. This is certainly the place to be if you were a sim racing fan. Well, we are going to be heading back to the green flag, this time out of 3 and 4. Do we see the same action this time as Chaburko tries to find a spot for his car? I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Chaburko's doing. He's just having some fun right now, making sure that everybody's aware he's back, and he's ready to have a lot of fun. The pace car will be pulling to the safety of pit road one more time. That's probably the safest place to be in this race right now, is on pit road, away from all the action. Pace car is going down to that area right now. Mark Jorgensen once again is going to lead him to the green flag. Then you have Chris Passini to his outside, Rodney Walford, Casey Malone, Rod Flagg, the top 5 waiting for the green flag. Jorgensen's looking for it in the air, and he's got it. Green flag underway once again here at the Talladega Superspeedway. He's got a big push already from the number 7 of Rodney Walford as they head to turn 1. Chris Passini's looking for help from behind. He doesn't have it yet, but he's going to have it in just a moment. Casey Malone now finally gets locked onto his back bumper, and they're starting to make headway on the outside as they come off turn 2.
They certainly are in the top 10, have a great getaway here. In fact, Paul Savant, P11, the last car with that front group, as everyone behind them almost a little kind of nervous on this one, Brian, to get involved in that front group. The field spreading out behind your top 10, but a great start by your leaders here on lap 43. Passini making a charge early on for the outside line. The 92 car of Malone giving him a shove. Keep an eye on that 22 car. He's been all over the place. We have got teammates up there in his front pack. They are one to be watched as always. Can Passini clear Jorgensen Jr.? That's the question.
And the answer right now is no. He was not able to get the run he needed. However, he was able to take the lead and lead that lap. So he is credited as the race leader as of right now. But as they work through 1 and 2, Jorgensen fights back on the inside line. He's got help from Rodney Walford, but the outside line seems to be forming up just a little bit better. At least the first couple of cars are appearing to be formed up a little bit better. There's only 3 on the outside line. Now there's a couple more jumping up to the outside. Looks like Brandon Chaburko is going to jump up there for a moment. Now he ducks his way back to the bottom of the racetrack, slicing and dicing already. He's not wasting any time at all. Mark Jorgensen, however, he's able to get ahead and pull away from the inside line. Now goes to the outside, makes the block. He shoves Passini to the third group. Now here comes Casey Malone. Jorgensen back to the bottom, and Malone trying to look for the lead as they come to the stripe.
Certainly getting very crazy here as everyone cannot decide what they quite want to do. Passini was not impressed with that situation. He kind of ejected, looked like he blew up, but it was actually just bailing out to the top 10 as things get hectic for your front group. Chaburko all over the place yet again. That's almost a guarantee, it seems, every week, but moving forwards, 92, Casey Malone looking for the front now. McEachin And the 51 of Altman's pushing him there. Chaburko will hop out and join in the party. One car that's not left his top 10 really so far for many laps at all has actually been Rod Flag, Brian.
Yeah, Rod has been a constant in the top 10 pretty much since the drop of the green flag. Him and Mark Jorgensen and Casey Malone seem like they have stayed up at the front of the field for much of this race. You got other comers and goers, but for those couple of drivers, they've been up there pretty much since the drop of the green flag. Now Malone's looking for the lead. It would be his first time in the lead here tonight if he can get there. He's trying to make that move on the outside line. He's got Shane McEachin trying to push him down the back straightaway. Right now he's holding the lead, but he's going to have to hold it all the way around to the start-finish line if he wants to be credited with that lap lead. He's fighting hard on the outside line as they head to 3. Now Jorgensen's got the momentum to his favor, and he's trying to pull back ahead as they go through 3 and 4. Just 3 cars on the outside line versus 6 on the bottom. That's not going to work too well for those guys on the outside line right now.
Certainly is, and wow, this racing's been intense so far today. But you know what? It's time for, as we approach actually, the halfway point in tonight's race, the 92 of Malone taking the lead there. Time for your mid-race break here on LSRTV and the Superspeedway Cup Series. As we cross the halfway point of tonight's race, let's take a look at our iRacing midway race break, brought to you by iRacing, the world's premier online racing game, with professionally organised racing from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA and more. So far we've had a couple of cautions in the books, Brian. In fact, at the moment, Casey Malone, Jorgensen Jr., Shane McEachin with Wofford, Altmans, Flag, Warren, Chaburko, Basilia III and Passini, your top 10. We've had a couple of cars out of this one so far. Joel Wood, Roger Buff are our only 2 retirements at the moment. And 2 major cautions we've had. A lot of drivers using those backup cars, so this is going to be a tense one for a good half of your field.
Yeah, absolutely. You just ran through the top 10. We'll give you the 11th through 20th right quick. Dan Harrington, Kelly Dahl, Chris Bassini, Andrew Berger, your 4-time and defending series champion. He is sitting 14th. Dwayne Cooper is 15th. Ramon Evans is 16th. Joey Piccolella is 17th. 18th goes to Kyle Manger, recovering from that blown motor early on in the race. He had that reset. He was able to get back out there. Christian Peterson is 19th, and rounding out the top 20, Corey Henry. He also had a blown motor, trying to get back up there. He got his lap back, and now he's trying to fight his way back into the mix.
Sitting years behind them, Daniel Holloway 21st, Ray Renau 2nd, Brandon Cruz Monsivice, Larry Camp, Derek Walker, Garrett Atwell, and Gary Champion, your last running cars. Well, this has been your iRacing midway race break here on LSRTV. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, visit iRacing.com to sign up today. Back to your live action. Casey Malone still heading your field, but look at this. It's Jorgensen Jr. not wasting any time, getting back to the front here. And we've got some big names here. Of course, around Malone, we've got Jorgensen Jr., McEachin, Wofford, Altman's, Flag. And just behind him, of course, we have, Chaburko alongside Warren and Basilia III. 3 wide back in your pack here. And it's not calming down.
No, not calming down at all. You'd think after a couple of big wrecks and some of these guys using their resets for the race that they'd want to calm down, log some laps and get to the finish before they race like this, but that's not the case at all. They're already 2 and trying to make 3 wide racing here with still 44 laps to go in this event. Mark Jorgensen now leads the outside line. We've seen a lot of him at the front, but one thing we haven't seen a lot of is him staying on the outside line, and that's going to stay true again as he slices to the bottom in front of Malone, cuts back down to the inside line to take control of that line. That was the faster lane at the time. It was the smartest decision for him to make at that moment, and now he controls this field once again. I've lost count of how many times he has taken the lead here tonight, but he has just done an incredible job at being at the front and controlling this race. And he leads once again as they complete lap number 50, begin 51. Shane McEachin now trying to make something happen on the outside line. He's got Jay Riot, Jason Altmans in that 51 machine trying to help him along. And then you got the number 94, that's Frank Busilia. We haven't talked about him a whole lot, Rachel. He's all of a sudden making his way at the front of the field.
He certainly is. Let's not forget we've got a lot of teammates up here, of course. We've got the guys from Chicken Wing Motorsports, Basilia, Flag, we've got Berger, we've got Chaburko, and we have Altmans and Jorgensen Jr. So right now, the Dark Horse boys very outnumbered in your top 10 with a horde of the Chicken Wing cars up here trying to make things happen. Jorgensen Jr. clear at the back, going to try and take McEachin with him. and they will both pull down there in front of Malone, leaving Altman's with the 94 car of Brasilia the third on the outside. They're going to pull up again because they want the momentum into the corner. Altman's will drop down with them. Oh, problems for the 51 car as he blows his engine here on lap 52. That will be our third blow motor tonight, Brian, as just pushing the car into the corner. Boom! Out goes the motor, pistons squirted out the exhaust pipe, and he's on the apron. Game over for Jason Altmans.
Yeah, it's insane. These cars overheat very quickly nowadays, and you have to be very mindful of that. And sometimes when you're racing as wild as these guys are, you don't pay attention to the temps that down on the dash. And it looks like maybe that's just been the case for a couple of these guys. They pushed the motor too far. Maybe they weren't paying attention looking at the temps. And unfortunately, it ended their nights. I'm not sure if Jason actually used his reset. He might be able to get back out there. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Meanwhile, back up front, though, Jorgensen took advantage of that. He held on to the lead. Look at Chaburko making his move to the bottom of the racetrack. He barely fit his car in between that Shane McKeachin machine and Casey Malone. He moves to third on the inside line. He's got an opportunity to go high, and here he goes all the way to the third groove. I'm not sure how far he thought he was going to go with that move. He now ducks back to the bottom, and Shane McKeachin's trying to build up a little bit of momentum, see if he can't challenge for the lead off 4.
Certainly has, and well, Jorgensen Jr. leading from McKeachin, and Chaburko slices in front of Malone, again like a knife there, as he boxed in behind McKeachin. He can't find anywhere to go. Big momentum, but he couldn't use anything with it, and Chaburko once again being penned in like a criminal in a police stop as he'll slice out past McKeachin there. He finds any gap he can, Brian. This is incredible what we see from him every week. Your first experience really of Brandon Chaburko, but what do you think so far?
Well, not really my first experience. I've raced against him for a lot of years, and he's definitely this insane. He makes a lot of crazy moves, but this is one of my first experiences of calling a race that he's been in, and it's been wild to get to sit up here and watch him. I'm actually glad I'm not on the track with him because he'd be stressing me out if I was down there racing with him right now. So it's kind of peaceful to be up here calling the race versus being out there with him. I kind of feel for these guys that are out there right now. But Mark Jorgensen's done a great job at handling Brandon Chaburko. It's almost like he doesn't care that Chaburko's making those moves. He's doing what he needs to do to hang on to the lead. And he's been the one guy so far that Chaburko really has not been able to work over. Every move that Brandon has made, Jorgensen's had an answer for it. And once again, he's got that answer as he pulls out to the lead once again. Chaburko's still trying to make that outside line work, but he just has not been able to get past Jorgensen here in the last couple of laps. And Jorgensen now pulls up to the outside line for a moment to block, then goes right back to the bottom, trying to control the momentum and control the lines once again.
Certainly is, and well, the racing here has been intense as always. Usual suspects at the front. Are we going to see another Jorgensen Jr. win, or will we see someone like Casey Malone perhaps take a victory in this one, or a different driver? That's the question. Are we going to see someone new? Can we get that 88 car away from the front? Well, it's a question that somebody called Chaburko is about to try and answer, as it's been like watching a slalom skier right now, where Brian, he's changing direction all the time. Never quite sure which way he'll be facing, but he always seems to be getting downhill at some point.
Yeah, and unfortunately right now for Chaburko, he does not have a lot of help behind him. He's got Shane McKeachin starting to work his way up to him, but they're the only two that are really formed up on the outside line right now, at least up inside that top 5 or 6 cars. There's a couple of guys back there, Rodney Walford, Chris Passini, looks like maybe Garrett Atwell as well, also all trying to make something happen back there behind those guys, but so far just not able to get up there and help. And you see now Shane McKeachin for a moment was on the inside line. He decided to get back up to that second groove to get behind Chaburko once again. But they still need a little bit more help if they're going to get back up there and challenge Jorgensen. One thing I'm very surprised that we've seen Casey Malone behind Mark for the last several laps. He has not really made any moves to try to take the lead from him. He has been content. Maybe one of the only drivers in this field that has been content with where he's at. It's kind of working in his favor, though, because he's staying safely up inside that top 2 or 3 instead of going through the field several times. He's gotten up there and he's stayed there. And now here comes Chaburko to the outside. He's finally getting that push that he needs.
Certainly is exciting indeed. And wow, these guys doing what they can. 3 wide back there in the pack. The 41 of Piccolella, or as the YouTube chat have taken to calling him, Pickle Relish. Back there with Rodney Wofford, Frank Basilio the third, Passini behind him. And a 25 car up there as well on the outside of Kyle Manger. These guys definitely getting busy. Piccolello there, getting to the back of McEachin, pushing him forwards, giving Chaburko a burst forwards. But he pulls up, doesn't want to drop in line. 92 car will pull up in front of Chaburko. That's not necessarily the wisest of moves sometimes, but Malone wants to go to the front and he should clear. He's not going to be close enough. It's not close enough to make that call. And back underneath him, Mark Jorgensen Jr. will get that number 88 car in place. Things a little more calm than we have seen so far, Brian, but not by a lot.
Yeah, a lap and a half ago, I said Casey Malone was content riding where he was at. I guess he heard me and decided that wasn't going to be the case. He leads at lap number 59, and now he's able to make that move to the bottom. He clears Jorgensen. He pulls in line on the inside line. That leaves Chaburko leading the outside line once again. And I feel like I've heard this name a lot. Shane McEachin is pushing. He's been one of the pushing cars for most of the night here tonight, and looks like that's not going to change for the moment. He's behind Brandon Chaburko, trying to help him make that outside line work. They've fallen back to the third car in line. Right now, Andrew Berger, the defending series champion. We have not called his name, I don't think, at all tonight. All of a sudden, as we get to the closing stages of this race, Rachel, he's in third as they come to the start-finish line.
Certainly is, and well, things have definitely been intensive so far. That hit lap number 60, and we'll have 34 to go. Should be coming up on green flag pit stops in fairly short order, and that could cause all manner of hilarity. So we'll keep our eyes on that as the front of your field for the first time tonight really going to go single file here, Brian. Things on the calm side.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's almost like these drivers are probably starting to line up to get ready for green flag pit stops. We should expect to see them here in the next, I'd say, 5 to 10 laps, if that. They only have a 70% tank compared to what these cars can normally run. Normally, these guys can go about 40 laps at this track. However, with the 70% tank, they can probably go no more than about 25, I'd say, before they're absolutely going to have to come to pit road. So we're approaching that point, and we're seeing these guys starting to settle down. Everybody except for Brandon Chaburko. I think that's kind of a common thing to say, though. And now here comes Mark Jorgensen looking to the outside, trying to take that lead once again. He made the move by himself. I think he was hoping that Andrew Berger was going to go with him. However, he didn't. And now he's waiting on the help from Chaburko as they come off the corner. He's finally got that push from behind, but it's going to be a little too late because he's just not got the momentum he needs to go up there and challenge Casey Malone.
Not yet, he doesn't. Jorgensen Jr. needs help. As you mentioned, Brian, the outside line not as formed up as it has been. We knew they wouldn't stay single file for long, and well, they've not disappointed us. Cars are moving forwards, and well, his teammates on the outside there. Chaburko and Jorgensen Jr. making this one go forwards, and look at the power of Jorgensen Jr.'s car. It's almost like he's running a different engine to these guys sometimes. That car can really suck up on his own, getting that side draft going on the 92 Malone. Gets right down to the door on the backstretch and will use all that force to push him forwards. Berko not actually pushing as all they touch, the 92 and the 88, just tapping sides there. And they run into turn 3. 3 wide behind them, McEachin, Piccolella, and a 76 car of Warren. Things might be heating up again soon in the run towards pit stops.
Yeah, something else that is about to play havoc in this battle up front is these leaders are fast approaching some lap cars that are way off the pace as far as just not being in the draft to be at full speed like these guys are. That could be interesting to see how these guys are able to manipulate their way through that lap traffic. Jorgensen slices his way to the bottom, and it looks like the lap traffic's going to heed to the outside line and let these guys go cleanly. That's Derek Walker in the 20. He was battling up there for the lead a while ago. Now he's going a lap down. Not sure exactly what happened there, but he's just trying to ride around and log laps at this point. Jorgensen, however, he's got the race lead. He's back to the bottom. Here comes Chaburko to the outside with, once again, Shane McEachin to his back bumper, trying to push him along as they work through 3 and 4. And Casey Malone back to the bottom. He's trying to help Mark Jorgensen as they come off the corner. Everybody is just trying to get in line. They know that pit stops are coming. They've got to start getting situated for that because you do not want to be double foul coming to pit road. And it looks like Brandon Chaburko is going to have the momentum he needs to try to take that lead as they work through turns 1 and 2. He's got a little bit of help again on the outside line. Shane McEachin trying to make something happen once again. And now we got a mover to the outside line trying to make it 3 wide down the back straightaway. I believe that is the number 41 of Joey Piccolella, trying to make something happen. He had no help, though, when he made that move. He's going to go backwards for the moment. He's trying to get back in line behind Shane McEachin, and it looks like Shane's going to drop to the bottom of the racetrack. That leaves Traburco out there. And like Rachel mentioned earlier on in the broadcast, it looks like Traburco has just been the odd man out all night long. He hasn't had the help that he's needed. And every time he gets close to the lead, everybody tries to dump him to try to take him out of position for it. And it's happened here once again with only one car behind him. That's that number 41 machine of Joey Piccolella trying to make something happen. Contact through turns 1 and 2. Shane McEachin down on the apron trying to stay out of the way.
He saves it. We're going to replay what happened for you just there, because that was a very tense moment. Shane McEachin, some expert driving, as Piccolella comes down and just taps the Pete car, puts him onto the flat of the apron. Sideways, he saves it. Great driving there by Shane McEachin. Replay there for you. See, the 41 has come down, Brian, and just taps him slightly. And it's all it needed to get him on the apron.
Yeah, when they're going 200 miles an hour, it doesn't take much to get a car out of shape, and Casey Malone just got out of shape going through the tri-oval. It almost looked like the 41 took the air off the door of him, and that caused him to really lose his momentum, and that allows Brandon Traburco to go to the point. He took the lead from Mark Jorgensen. He had help from the 41. As soon as he got the lead, though, he dropped to the bottom of the racetrack. That leaves Joey Piccolella on the outside line by himself with nobody behind him at all to help him. And if he doesn't get any help soon, he's going to drop like a rock here on the outside line. Looks like the number 25 of Kyle Manger is trying to get up there and help him. However, he goes way high to that third groove and decides he's not going to work with him. So now here comes Christian Peterson, going to try to give him some help as they come off turn 4. We have a few guys at the back of the pack starting to make their round of green flag pit stops, so it's only a matter of time before we see the rest of them coming in.
Certainly should be this time by, of course. We're at about 26, 27 laps here. This is our fuel window with a 70% fuel tank limit, of course. Should see the front pack. This is why they're probably single file. They're expecting to head down to pit road, so those guys on the top might want to find a slot. This could get interesting. Green flag stops for the first time tonight. Will they all make it? That's the question. Or will we end up with bits of cars spread across the track, as has sometimes happened? We'll keep an eye. Should be this time a single file. We've not seen Jorgensen Jr. challenge Traburco, so it's likely he wants to stay on the inside. Could well be coming to pit road this time by, as will we see them come? It's not going to happen, no. The lead pack will not come in. We've had a few takers at the rear of your field heading down pit road already. Front pack all shuffling to try and get in line here. Could be this time.
It'll be any time now over the next couple of laps, and they are in a window where they can make it to the end on fuel from here. So that could be what they're trying to do, is just stretch it as far as they can so they know they have enough fuel. But from this point forward, they should be able to make it to the end, as we're inside of 30 laps to go. Approaching only just about 26 laps to go right now, so they've definitely went far enough to do it. It's just a matter of when they decide to make that move. Traburco's still leading. Ever since he got the lead, it seems like everybody calmed down a little bit. Maybe they realized he's at the front.
Here they come.
About it. Here we go. Pit stops. Everybody in the front, almost everybody at the front, coming to pit road. Traburco locks them up as they come in. Casey Malone makes it clear. Traburco gets sideways and makes contact with Malone on pit road.
Big contact there entering pit road, but everyone stays in the same direction. We'll try and get a replay here for you as you see this one. Look at that. Traburco too fast. He locks them up and gets a slight tap there. Gets sideways. Gets tapped by Jorgensen. Taps him into Malone. Replay here. Look, there's a lockup. Huge lockup there from Traburco. Just slightly sideways tapped by the 88 in there to the 92 car of Malone. But everyone stays in a straight line. That was as close to hairy as you can get without being a full-on lumberjack beard.
And Casey Malone makes it out of the pit stops first. However, he's got a little bit of a gap over Traburco and Jorgensen and Rodney Walford. This could be a problem for him, having that gap. When these guys get up to speed, he's not going to have the draft that Traburco and Jorgensen are going to have behind him. So we could see him get swallowed up by these guys pretty quickly. It's going to be interesting to see, as these guys get singled out, how many cars are still in the main pack. It looks like everybody that came in that time by got really spread out. You've got 5 cars at the front right now, then you've got a pack of 2, and then you've got a guy by himself, and then another couple packs of 2. So this field's really going to get thinned out now once these guys get situated with their green flag pit stops. I think we've got our front runners right here, this top 5. Once everything gets cycled through, it looks like it's going to be Casey Malone, Brandon Chaburko, Mark Jorgensen, Rodney Wofford up there at the front of the field.
Certainly is, and 24 of Andrew Berger will be leading your field here at the moment after the cycle of pit stops comes through. He's about to get past though, coming off pit road, as here comes the previous leaders with Malone, Chaburko, Jorgensen Jr., Wofford and Basilia the third there. So that's McDonald's passing Berger, and Pickle Relish is somewhere back in the pack. We've got a real fast food thing going on here at Talladega tonight, Brian.
Yeah, absolutely, we do, and this has just been a wild race from start to finish, waiting on everybody to finish with their pit stops. Christian Peterson was scored as the race leader last time by. Andrew Berger was right behind him, but they have been passed by that main pack, so when everything scores back around, it should be Casey Malone at the front of the field, and indeed it is. You've got Casey Malone, Brandon Chaburko, Jorgensen, Rodney Wofford, and Frank Busilia, your top five. They've got about a 1.5 second gap over the next pack of cars, which has now formed up to about 6 cars. If those guys can get organized and get single file, they should be able to run down this front pack and make a little bit of a race of it in the final stages of this race. Inside 25 laps to go. I think if you had told me at the beginning of the race that we were going to be single file with 25 to go and race 2 and 3 wide the first 70 laps of this race, Rachel, I probably would have called you crazy.
Give them some time, Brian. They'll find a way to wrap a car around a tree somewhere, and we'll have another yellow flag before this one is done. I almost guarantee it. Somebody will find a tree to wrap a car around. There aren't any, of course, but somebody will find one. As we get back to racing, of course, Malone and Chaburko. Malone and actually backing out there, dropping the spot to Chaburko. We'll see him drop back in second. Getting hot there, Chaburko wanting to swap positions. As we are going to go to a quick side-by-side break for you folks. This will be our last time we go to commercial before the end of the race, and we'll be live right to the end. So stick with us. We'll be back in just a few moments. Back live here on LSRTV for the Superspeedway Cup Series and lap 74, 94, 20 to go. We are going to stay with you live to the end. Didn't take them long. They're forming up too wide here at the front, Brian. Things are going to get busy again, and I don't think we're going to make it to the end. Green flag.
Well, hopefully we can make it to the end. Green flag. We're going to have to wait and see what happens. But like you said before the break, it wasn't going to take long. These guys were going to be back side by side, trying to find a tree to wrap their cars around. They have a couple of trees to the outside of this racetrack. If they can wreck big enough, you might see one get wrapped around one of those trees out there. Have to wait and see what happens. But back to the action on the track. Rodney Wofford looks to the outside of Casey Malone for the race lead as they head through the tri-oval, trying to get that momentum that he needs. Right now, neither one of those front runners have a big push from behind. They both got a little bit of a gap, and now here goes Chaburko to the outside, going to make it 3 wide, and he's got help behind him. Christian Peterson, Kyle Manger go to the outside 3 wide with him. And it looks like Chaburko is going to have the momentum he needs to clear that second groove. Did he have enough for the inside line? No, he did not. He's going to have to drop down in front of Rodney Wofford. And now here comes Peterson to the outside trying to make that third groove once again.
And he's going to make it work as Peterson will drop down there and take the lead here as Chaburko chopping in front of Malone. This one has been a very exciting race from start to finish. Oh, Chaburko will cut up again. You know, if we do find any trees, I think Chaburko has an axe in that car because he's been slicing the competition tonight.
He has been slicing and dicing from the drop of the green flag, and he had to do it from the back of the pack. He started all the way back in that 25th position. He has worked his way up inside the top 5, top 10. He's been there for a lot of this race, and now he's fighting back to the outside line, trying to hang on to that race lead as he come off the corner. He's got the momentum that he needs, but he doesn't have as much help as he'd like, as now Peterson tries to pull up and get a side draft going down the back straightaway. It looked like that actually worked for him, as now he carries a little bit of momentum going into the corner. He's got Casey Malone right behind him, trying to give him that push that he needs there on the inside line. But here comes Traburco back on the outside, trying to make a battle for the lead again.
Battle for the lead. We've had this all night long so far, and we are on 18 laps to go now. Things getting intense here in the Superspeedway Cup Series. Some of the best racing we've seen all season long, and so far only 2 cautions, which is kind of incredible if you think about what we've seen on track. These guys really are the cream of the crop, Brian, when it comes to Superspeedway racing. Has this been an education for you?
Absolutely. It helps these guys a lot that they race with each other week in and week out. They're not racing with a bunch of strangers like you'd get on the official iRacing servers. These guys know how each other race. They know how to expect everybody to race, and they're able to make these moves because they can trust one another. Only because they race each other week in and week out. And now you see Traburco. He got right down on the door of Frank Busilia right there in the middle of the corner. That could have been disastrous if there was any kind of netcode issue, but they made it work. And now you see Christian Peterson trying to take the lead. I think he is going to get credited with the lead. He will. Christian Peterson to the point on lap 78. We're getting up close to that point. We're going to have just about 15 laps to go. I would say it's go time, but these guys have been treating it like it's go time since the drop of the green flag on lap 1, Rachel.
They certainly have, and well, he is clear now. Peterson will be able to pull down Malone on the low side. Traburco with him. They'll pull down to the bottom. Will Traburco go? I doubt. No, he will. For once, Traburco will be happy with second for the moment, as he has the 23 car up front. Could we see a first-time winner tonight? That's the question. Will we see a new driver locked into the chase here, as Traburco tried to make a move, wasn't going to be clear in time. Pushed here by Rodney Wofford. The 88 of Jorgensen Jr. behind him, the 10 of Flag on the backside. We have got your top 11 cars under an umbrella here at Talladega. Any one of these cars could win this race. Will we see this one get a yellow flag reset before we get to that point? That's going to be the question we want to ask. And who's used up that backup car? That's another one to keep your eye on. Right now, Pedersen out front with Malone and Traburco, Wofford and Basilia III, Jorgensen Jr., Berger, and behind them, a whole knot of angry cars who want to be in on this party too.
Yeah, absolutely. They're still trying to make that third groove work back there at the back of this pack right now. Mark Jorgensen's trying to make something happen. He's got a little bit of help from behind, but not enough to really establish that third groove. Looks like they're trying to go 4 wide for a moment back there, but they get it all situated and sorted out. And for Christian Peterson, that's exactly what he wants to see, because the less organized they are behind them, the more laps he's able to lead. He's got Casey Malone behind him. Now here comes Frank Busilia, who pulls up in front of Traburco, trying to go for the lead. And he goes. He's got a big run down the back straightaway, and looks like Frank Busilia is going to have the momentum he needs. He's going to get the. I thought he was going to get clear of Peterson for a moment. However, he was not able to. He's going to have to continue that push on the outside line. Traburco trying to get back to him to give him a run. They're approaching some lap traffic once again. This could play a little bit of a factor depending on where the lap car decides to go. Right now, he's up by the outside line. Looks like he's going to heed way to this field as they come through the trioval. He is going to stay up by the wall and allow these guys to pass him cleanly. Frank Busilia is still trying to fight hard on the outside for the race lead, Rachel.
Certainly is, and that's the 26 car up on the outside there. Daniel Holloway going down a lap, pitted on his own, did not get friends to work with. So always remember that. You need friends to pit at Superspeedways, and he had none. Unfortunately, as we go back towards the front here, 3 wide racing a little bit further back from your lead, as it's Wofford, the 76 of Warren, and Traburco filtering back to the back of your top 10, looking like he's going to build under the charge. But for now, these guys are racing hard. Traburco perhaps reading something written on the wall that we can't see. Things looking a little dicey perhaps for him. He wants a win here, playing the strategy game, as we're going to be approaching 10 to go very shortly. We're on about 12 laps to go now. And I cannot pick a winner if you ask me to at the moment. So we get, oh, there you go. That's The 20 car of Derek Walker being passed again. He was involved in a few incidents. Malone and Pedersen side by side here with Basili the third, Berger, Warren and Wofford. These guys all could win this one tonight. Jorgensen Jr. and Piscini right back in your field.
And these guys have not settled down hardly at all. We had a very short period of time where we had a lull in the action, and then as soon as we said that, we went to commercial break. We come back because they're 2 and 3 wide once again, and they haven't calmed down since. It looks like Casey Malone had an opportunity at the race lead. He lost it to Christian Peterson. Frank Busilla is trying to fight back on the outside line. He has a little bit of help coming from behind. Kyle Manger is trying to get there, and here comes Andrew Berger. Again, we have not said his name hardly at all tonight, but as we got to the second half of this race, and especially at the end of this race, he's there. Now here comes Kyle Manger on the outside line. He's got the run he needs. He looks to the outside like he's going to go 3 wide. He thinks better of it. He stays behind Frank Busilla. Now he goes to the outside again. Not sure what he's wanting to do at this point. I don't think he knows what he wants to do right now. All I know is he's trying to get to the front any way he can. And as they work through 3 and 4, Frank Busilla is trying to get that outside line rallied together so he can get up there and challenge for the race lead. He's got the run this time. Does he have enough to get to Christian Peterson? Right now the answer is no. He stalls out beside Casey Malone as they head through the tri-oval.
Certainly does, and things getting very busy in the back as we'll go on to lap 84 here. 10 to go. Next time by the stripe. This is where things start to get intense, and the racing hasn't calmed down. We have been having a fantastic night here in the Superspeedway Cup Series for LSRTV, and, well, I've been barely able to catch my breath tonight, Brian. This racing has been fantastic. These guys have been clean, they've been professional, but the racing has been wild. This is what the experience looks like.
Absolutely, and this is what trust looks like too, because these guys, again, because they race with each other every single Friday night, they know how each other races, they know what kind of moves to expect, and they know that they can make those moves without the chances of a big wreck happening. We've seen only a couple of mistakes here tonight, and unfortunately those are going to happen, but for the most part this has been a flawless race by these drivers, absolutely incredible. And as we get inside 10 laps to go, it's go time for these guys for sure. If you're going to win the race, now is the time to try to make something happen so you have an opportunity to do it. For Christian Peterson, he'd like for it to stay the way it is right now. They're single file in the front 3, and he's trying to hang on. Now here comes Kyle Manger to the outside line. As soon as I said that, he diced to the outside. He pulls up in front of Frank Busilla. He's got the momentum. He's starting to work his way to the outside. Looks like Peterson for a moment thought about coming up the block, but he didn't have the momentum he needed to do it. Kyle Manger trying to take the lead as they come to lap number 86. He's got a big push from Busilla. Is he going to be able to get to him at the stripe? It looks like he's going to have the momentum he needs, and he will lead lap number 86. So Kyle Manger to the point. Now, he's trying to get to the bottom. He makes the move and clears Christian Peterson for the lead in 1 and 2.
He certainly does, and let's not forget, of course, Brian, we only have 2 prior winners in this pack, the 88 and the 22 teammates. And of course, they are always contenders to win, so can one of these other 9 cars in this pack perhaps take the win tonight? Will it be a first time winner that locks themselves into the playoffs? Of course, we're on round number 8 here, of 14 before the playoffs cut-off strikes. Do we see someone else lock themselves in? Things getting crazy. Who can tell?
Well, as it stands right now, the odds are we're going to see a first-time winner on the season. Kyle Manger had the lead, then all of a sudden he jumped to the outside line. I'm not sure why he made that move. He was on the bottom. He had the momentum that he needed. The outside line wasn't going anywhere, but he decided to move up there anyway. So that's going to open the door for Christian Peterson to go back to the point. And as they work down the back straightaway, they are going to work through a little bit of lap traffic. We've got, I'm hearing we've got some teammates working together. Chris Bassini gets sideways in the middle of the pack for just a moment. He's able to keep it straight. Now there's contact at the front, and Kyle Manger goes around. Many more get caught up. Andrew Berger, Casey Malone, Rodney Walford, Frank Busilla, big wreck here on lap number 87. We were wondering if we were going to get another caution, and we've got it. Inside 10 to go. They're still piling in here, Rachel.
They are indeed, and we'll take a look at what happened for you with a replay from LSRTV as it was contact between teammates there. Manger just tapped by the Basilia down into the Pedersen, his teammate, and carnage happens. Barely an escape for Jorgensen Jr., who does actually make contact with the back of Wofford in that wreck, but just about escapes. The 22 escapes completely unharmed. Not so good for the rest of your top 10 as well. Cars compiling in from the rest of your pack. Reset here, lap 88 of 94. You know what this means? We're going to get a green-white checker.
Which means the action's about to pick up even more, because with just 2 laps on tap and a bunch of guys with some tore-up race cars, these guys are going to be all over the place for a couple of laps trying to make something happen. That wreck, though, that kind of opens the door for a couple of different faces to maybe have an opportunity to get up here and challenge for this thing. We've got Christian Peterson leading and Chris Piscini to the outside. Then, of course, we have the 2 winners up at the front of the field that have been up there all night long, Mark Jorgensen and Brandon Chaburko. But I know for sure that Jorgensen has a little bit of damage. It looks like Chaburko might be okay right now. However, it looks like he might be coming to pit road to work on that car just a little bit. Indeed, he is. But this opens the door for some guys that have been riding around towards the back of the pack. The 76 of Scott Warren is all of a sudden in the picture. Rodney Walford is on pit road, and Rod Flagg is also trying to get some stuff done to the car. I'm sorry, Rodney Walford's still on the track. But then we've also got the number 18 machine up there. So we've got a couple of different faces trying to make something happen here. We could have a completely different face from what we have seen all night long have a chance to win this thing.
We certainly could. And well, we're going to get a quick chat on radio to the 99 car. Hey, Kelly Dahl, this is Rachel Whiteford up here in the LSRTV booth. You got a copy?
I hear you. I think I've got the right switch flipped here, and I can talk
well,
to you.
Hopefully we think we can hear you, as you're up here running in 7th place right now. This has been a crazy race for you and the pack. How have things been going for you today? Oh no, problems back in the pack for the 4 car. We'll show that on the screen whilst he, derps on his own there, going full Atwell apparently. So Kelly, it's been a crazy race. Still can't get himself turned around. I'm sorry. I should be more professional, but that was dumb. Anyway, Kelly, race has been crazy so far for you. Just about crazier for Garrett Atwell, but how have things been in the pack?
Well, it's for me right now. Is trying to have a calm race. I mean, it's impossible to do that in Superspeedway Cup, but it's mainly in trying to keep the car clean, survive, and really manage the temperatures here. We've got a lot of tape on this car, so the car gets really hot really easily. So you've got to manage like how hot your engine's going to be. We've seen a number of drivers blow up already, and really you got to know how much you can push and how much you have to back off, or else you might blow the engine or drop right off the field. So bit of a management game going on tonight.
Certainly has been, but you find yourself here up in 7th place coming to the restart. It's going to be a green-white checker. You're in that LSRTV and RaceSpot TV machine there on the inside line. It's going to be for you. It's Crown Royal, actually. I'm looking at the wrong livery. Hopefully you're not on the Crown Royal and you're actually in the game for this one. Looking at a top 10 start here, 2 to go. Are you going to be involved in the inevitable wreck, or are you going to find that hole and get yourself to the front?
Well, now you've mentioned it. Well, the way my season's been going so far, if there's going to be a wreck, I'm probably going to get involved in it. But I'm going to try to see if I can find a gap and at least get a finish here tonight. I mean, I've only finished 1 race this year, and even that race, I ran out of fuel coming across the line. Hopefully just trying to get at least a top 10 tonight. I'm in a decent position for this point in the race, so just right now I'm going to see what happens, see what comes to me, see if I can find a gap and gain a few more spots before the end of this.
Well, you didn't see it because it's behind you, but let's hope you don't go full Garrett Atwell towards the end of this race and end up spinning yourself under caution. But best of luck to you, Kelly Dahl. We'll let you get ready and set and talk to your crew in the box. Of course, for this one, best of luck with that restarting in the top 10. So hopefully we'll talk to you after the race.
All right, thank you.
We showed the replay of the 4 car a minute ago. That was some crazy stuff right there, Brian. As Garrett Atwell, we're not sure if he's been drinking the Kool-Aid or drinking somebody else's booze from their car sponsor's tent, but a lot of cars up at the front here got some damage on them, so it could be a little slower than perhaps they'd want to be, but things gonna be a little bit, should we say, brisk on this restart. These guys aren't afraid to pull punches. They've been bouncing off each other all race long. 2 laps to the finish here. Green-white checker coming right up here in the Superspeedway Cup Series. Guys, this is getting turned up to 11.
The thing I think I am most intrigued to see on this final restart of the race, is how well the front row is able to get up to speed. Both Christian Peterson and Chris Passini have some pretty significant damage to their cars, and being on the front row the way they are could present a challenge for them getting up to speed, and the guys behind them getting up to speed. If I'm Scott Warren, I'm going to be a little concerned, because there's a lot of damage on the number 23 machine. He's going to be right on the back bumper of him. You've also got Rodney Walford with a pretty significant amount of damage as well, and it looks like Frank Busilia's got a little bit of damage too. So a lot of cars that have a decent amount of damage for just the last couple of laps. Being that it's only 2 laps, they're not going to have to worry about getting up to speed and staying there. But it could still present a challenge for some of these guys that are going to be
finding out now. We will go back to green this time by. So 3 laps of carnage rather than 2. We're going to see how many of these cars can get through the meat grinder that's coming up for them. As 3 laps actually almost worse than 2. They'll actually have some time to fight.
Yeah, absolutely, and that makes things kind of interesting as well, because now you just don't know what to expect, and I think this is going to be pretty wild. We've seen a very exciting race for the entirety of this thing. Why would the last 3 laps be any different than what we've seen all night long? So very excited for what we've got going on. Going to be interesting to see what our friend Brandon Chaburko is able to do. He's going to restart back in the 6th position. If there's anybody that can make something happen in just 3 laps, I think he's the guy for the job. So we're going to have to keep our eyes on the number 22 machine, see if he can get another win on this season. For some of these guys, though, for many of these guys inside the top 10, a win is going to lock you into the playoffs. For Chaburko, he's already got that. He has nothing to lose. Go out there and see what he can do.
Certainly is, of course, your top 10 for the restart. Chris Pedersen with Chris Passini, Scott Warren, Rodney Warford, Frank Basile III, Brandon Chaburko, Jorgensen Jr., Rod Flagg, Kelly Dahl, and Corey Henry. This top 10 has 2 prior winners in it. Will one of those guys come across the line first? We don't know. The closest to the front, of course, is Chaburko, as the field in the command of Christian Peterson. Green flag is gonna fly. Right now, green flag out at Talladega, hopefully for the last time. In fact, it will be the last time. Any caution now will end the race. These guys are off, as the field behind them not wanting to get going too soon. They see the writing on the wall. Will the guys in your top 12 or so cars here? This is about to get intense, folks, as Passini on the outside, getting a good push from his teammate Warford there. A lot of damage to some of these cars here, Brian, as the 22 car shoving hard. Peterson not going to be leading into 3.
Yeah, I think that damage on the number 23 machine certainly affecting him, as now Passini pulls to the inside. He's got the race lead with coming to 2 laps to go when they get around to the stripe this time by. Now, having somebody in front of Peterson, he's able to utilize that draft to pull him back up to the back bumper of Chris Passini. Off turn 4 here, they come 2 laps to go at the stripe. Rodney Walford now is going to try to make something happen, and here comes Chaburko and Jorgensen to the outside. Looks like they're going to try to make it 3 wide at the stripe, and Peterson makes contact with Walford, slides around, almost gets onto the apron, somehow hangs onto it, but here comes Chaburko outside on the 3rd lane with Jorgensen behind him, trying to make something happen off 2.
Peterson pulls up to the middle lane there as he'll drop back. Oh, contact with the 76 of Warren. They get back in line as he goes 4 wide in the pack. 94 to the inside. Crash on the outside. Warford in the 10. Big wreck. Chaburko will win round number 8 as the field murders itself on the run into turn 3. We're going to get you an LSRTV super slow-mo replay of this one, because you need to see every detail of the stupid that just happened.
That started off turn 2, and it took all the way until they got to the entry to turn 3 for it to actually manifest. And for those drivers that were involved, wow, that was huge. And I think we jinxed Kelly, because poor Kelly Dahl, he was caught up in that. He was having such a good run right there at the end of the race and had nowhere to go when that all started happening. He was just at the wrong place at the wrong time. But how about Brandon Chaburko and Mark Jorgensen? They just proved why they've already won.
Well, we're just going to have a quick look at this replay, Brian, as this is some crazy stuff, of course, as the contact with the 23 and the 76 go down the track. The 23 comes back up the track, so does the 76. Jinxed Kelly Dahl, of course, with that interview, as the 94 and the 7 will make contact. The 7 comes down, the 94 is nowhere to go. He gets dumped to the infield and is heading for a safer barrier sandwich. The 7 goes back up, hits the Grand Prix of Flag. 7 bites the outside safer barrier, the 12 and the 99 panic. Unfortunately, poor Kelly Dahl there, contact with the 12 of Corey Henry, gets dumped across the nose at a 0-0 of Dwayne Cooper. That takes Scott Warren, and Chaburko has won the race. What a finish to that one. It didn't take them a full lap to go. Stupid as we'll come across the stripe this time by. Your finishing order for tonight's Superspeedway Cup Series race here at Talladega. Round number 8, Brandon Chaburko. Teammate Mark Jorgensen Jr. behind him. Chris Bassini, Christian Peterson, Paul Savant. No, Kelly Dahl actually will take 5th place in that one with a damaged car. Dwayne Cooper, Paul Savant, Jason Altman, Shane McEachin, and Scott Warren, your top 10. And, well, I believe that was Jim McEachin's car blowing up as he crossed the line. Chaburko's 2nd win of the season. We just had possibly the only end of this race deserved just then, Brian.
Absolutely, and for Brandon Chaburko, though, I mean, what a return to this series. He was off for a week or two, and he comes back and he wins. And the only fashion that you would expect Brandon Chaburko to win out of nowhere on the last couple of laps of this thing, benefiting from a huge wreck and a huge run that he got from with, and now he's finishing off the car. He doesn't want that car to make post-race tech, so he's going to go ahead and tear it up. He's got the motor blown up now, so they can't
he's
put
pulling
this
a
car
Gibbs
through inspection now.
Pulling a Joe Gibbs there at the end for the 22 car as he destroys the machine before trying to do donuts. Of course, the car did some donuts after reaching the outside wall, but he will go across the grass and do some rallycross there as there goes the motor for the 22 car. Like I said, it's perhaps not the ending we wanted, but it's the ending we deserved here at the Super Speedway Cup. We're going to go to a final quick commercial break as he collects the flag, and we'll probably have to do donuts on foot as his car has no engine power. We'll see Brandon Chaburko, of course, running in circles beside his car in a moment with the flag, but we'll get a quick commercial break and we'll have post-race interviews for you. Stay with us.
iRacing, you wanted the best, you got them for abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show under the world of outlaws.
So cool, yeah. Nate, what are you working on at the moment?
So I'm working on the animation for the game. We're working on getting pit crews fully developed, and that involves a lot of moving parts. So I'm going in and making sure that each moving part can dovetail smoothly into the next one, so that when you pull in for a pit stop, it looks like the real thing, as opposed to a bunch of jumbled pieces that suddenly stop and then go and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's so cool, but why aren't you working on the time model? Nothing?
Welcome back live here on LSRTV to the Superspeedway Cup Series post-race show. We're going to go for a quick run through on your field after that crazy ending we had tonight. Coming home with a victory, Brandon Chaburko, race number 2 of the season for him. Both of them at Talladega. Mark Jorgensen Jr. behind him will come home second. Chris Bassini, Christian Bedison, Kelly Dahl in 5th. Dwayne Cooper, Paul Savant, Sheen McKeechin, Scott Warren, and Ray Rinaldo second in 10th.
Brandon Cruz Montevideo finishes in the 11th position. 12th goes to Rod Flagg. Frank Bustillo gets 13th. Dan Harrington will come home 14th. 15th goes to Ramon Evans. Andrew Berger, defending champion, he will be 16th here tonight. Jason Altmans had a wild ride. He finishes 17th after getting caught up in that wreck. Rodney Walford will finish 18th, and he was the last car that finished on the lead lap here tonight. 19th goes to Corey Henry. And Casey Malone, after spending much of this race up inside the top 5, he finishes 20th.
He does indeed, and coming home 21st tonight, Garrett Atwell and co-champion Daniel Holloway, Derek Walker, Joey Piccolella, Kyle Manga, Darry Camp, Roger Buff, and in last place, Joel Wood. Well, rounding out our run through on your field, we get a chance to talk to the Randy Orton of the Superspeedway Cup Series, Brandon Chaburko, coming home with a victory today after, wow, slicing up and down the field, zigzagging, doing the backstroke at times. Brandon Chaburko, just how do you survive one of these races driving like you do?
I always go flat out in every race I do. I felt like I made a mistake early in the race, just literally going up and killing Shane early. To be honest with that, I had no clue he was outside. I couldn't see him on my right-hand monitor or any indication in my virtual mirror that he was even there, so I pretty much came up and killed him, so I want to apologize to him for that. But I felt like we really weren't in the front a whole lot throughout the course of the race, but towards the end, we were up front when it mattered, and we had a clean car, and we were able, Mark and I, to go to the front rather easily.
Certainly did, of course. You might not have been at the front the whole race, but you were at the back, the side, the bottom, and sometimes on top of the front pack in this one, of course. Working with a number of your teammates there from Chicken Wing at the front of this one. And a crazy end, of course, but you managed to put yourself in the place it needed to be. A second win, of course, doesn't affect you being locked into the playoffs, but it helps your playoff rankings, of course.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm really just going out for wins each and every time I'm on the track. I don't really look to finish second at any point in time. I either really want to be up on the hook or winning a race, so that's really my driving style each and every week.
Win it or bin it. That's it. You've heard it from Brandon Chaburko. Coming home today with the victory at Talladega in round number 8. Thank you for joining us, Brandon Chaburko.
All right, thank you.
Well, joined next, Brian Macklin is standing by on pit road here with Mark Jorgensen Jr., Chaburko's teammate.
Yeah, I'm down here on pit road with the 3-time winner this season, Mark Jorgensen Jr. Mark, you were caught up in a wreck towards the end of that race. We had the green-white checkered. I don't believe you started up towards the front, but you finished second here tonight. How did you get through that mess in the last couple of laps to get up there and finish second?
Oh, man, it was, I don't know, man. I guess some guys that got caught up in that little fiasco, I guess they had a lot of damage. I know whenever we went by the 7 car on the outside, I mean, he had a lot of nose damage. But not only that, you know, me and Brandon, you know, we just had to try to get hooked up, try to make something happen for one of us to win. You know, I don't know what the situation was with that lineup there. You know, it was telling, you know, a few of us to pass cars, and you know, I know that me and a couple guys went down pit lane and got our cars fixed. You know, took a little fuel or whatever. But you know, I know I beat a lot of those guys out, but I guess some guys was kind of complaining because it was telling us to pass them. So I don't know what the situation is. I'm sure Rod will go back and take a look at that. But man, it was a pretty good race, man. I mean, man, I was driving the wheels off this thing.
Yeah, absolutely you were. We watched you through most of the night, slicing and dicing, protecting the lead when you were up front, defending the different lanes. You'd pull up in front of the outside line, then drop back down to the inside line. This has been one of the most insane races that I've been a part of. I know Rachel was telling me that this is a weekly thing here in the Superspeedway Series Cup, but just absolutely insane How did you guys manage to go so long without wrecking? We only had 3 cautions prior to the caution that ended the race over a 94-lap event. How were you guys able to race so aggressively and be so close to wrecking lap after lap and only have 3 wrecks?
I guess it's a lot of luck, I guess. But no, in all seriousness, man, I think we do got a lot of really good guys in this league. You know, they know how to drive the car with the setup that's given, you know, at any given track. And, you know, you just get all of those guys, you know, that know what the hell they're doing, you know, up toward the front. You know, the racing's pretty intense. You know, I think whenever we first started the race, you know, I thought, you know, I knew there was going to be some, we was going to be side by side for lap after lap. But, you know, heck, I think our first caution come at like lap 96, but, or not 96, but lap 16 rather. But, yeah, I thought we were just going to ride and take it easy. You know, it's a long race, but man, I saw guys making moves, going 3 wide, 4 wide, you know, juking and jiving. I saw the 22 coming in my mirror, and I knew whenever he was making moves to get up there, you know, I know that he'd, you know, me and him would work good together to try to get one of us to the lead. But man, you know, the first 16 laps, the racing was pretty intense. Went back at it again. I mean, it was a lot of fun. I mean, you definitely had to watch your mirrors, you know, kind of know who was around you. You know, I think, you know, that last run that we had, you know, I think I ended up restarting like 8th, I think it was, and I just couldn't do nothing. Car kept on overheating. I was in behind the 7 car trying to keep it cool, and you know, I was just basically letting him do the work. You know, he would try to, you know, force. I think he ended up forcing 3 wide middle between Brandon and the guy on the bottom, and you know, I just let him make the moves, and you know, just slowly started working our way back to the front. But it was tough. I'll say this, you know, whenever you get back in the pack, you know, the car overheats quite a bit, and you got to just constantly roll out of the gas and get some fresh air on the nose to cool it down. I mean, I felt like I was just stuck, man. I kind of, you know, thinking to myself, God dang, I need to make some moves to get back up there to control the lead. But yeah, that last restart, man, just worked out awesome where me and Brandon was able to hook up and go 3 wide and finish 1-2. So congrats on the win to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Congrats to both of you for your top 2 finishes here tonight. And, of course, in the last part of that race, you 2 were the only ones inside the top 10 that already had a win. We were thinking for a little while we were going to see a first-time winner on the season, but you guys had different plans for that. You were able to get up there and steal the show once again. And before we let you go here tonight, Mark, I do want to give you a chance to say thank you to your sponsors and say hello to any friends or family that might be watching back at home. Who makes it happen for you on the number 88 machine?
Oh, obviously, you know, to Rod Flag for putting this on week after week, you know, for him to put up with everybody's Facebook drama, you know, after each Friday night's race. I'm sure there'll probably be a little bit after tonight's race, but, you know, big shout out for him for putting this on. LSRTV for the broadcast, all of y'all up in the booth. Y'all do an absolute amazing job. I mean, y'all are top-notch broadcasters for sure. You know, it'd be pretty cool to see y'all call like an actual NASCAR race, but other than
we
that,
love you
just
too, Mark.
Oh yeah, big shout out to y'all. Y'all are fantastic. Another shout out to Chris Piscini. You know, he painted the Exalta Chevy for me to run tonight. Car looked awesome. Can't wait to take it to Daytona. Hopefully we go back under the lights for nighttime racing next Friday. I think it'll look pretty cool out there. But huge shout out to him for the paint. Want to say sorry to Chris. I think I kind of screwed him over there at the mid stages of the race. You know, just a little racing deal, you know, just kind of wasn't paying attention to what he was doing, trying to make moves on me, but he ended up battling back and finished 3rd. But other than that, just a great win to Brandon Chaburko.
All right. Well, thank you, Mark, for that amazing compliment. And I just want to take a second to say you guys make our job extremely easy by doing the job you do down on the racetrack. So it definitely goes both ways there. So thank you for that compliment. And I look forward to calling more races with you in it. You guys did a great job tonight. Congrats on your 2nd place finish.
All right. Thank you, Brian.
All right, that was Mark Jorgensen. He finishes 2nd here tonight to his teammate Brandon Chaburko, and now we're going to move on to next week at Daytona, 100 laps at the Daytona International Speedway. Rachel, this was a wild one. We expect to see more of the same next week at Daytona. It's going to be absolutely insane as we get closer and closer to the beginning of the playoffs. These guys that have not gotten the win, they've got to get up there and do it. Otherwise, they're going to have to try to rely on points, and that's not what you want to have to do in a Superspeedway series.
Certainly is not, of course, Brian. And well, we'll look at the points. Corey Henry, after that race, still on top in the points. Jorgensen Jr. 2nd, but he doesn't count because he's got a win. Several, in fact. Behind that, it's Paul Savant, Rodney Wofford, Shane McEachin, Derek Walker, Rod Flag, Ray Renell 2nd, Chris Bassini, Garrett Atwell, Andrew Berger is in 11th. Basilia the third, Cruzman Service, Warren, and Cooper your top 15, with Harrington, Holloway, Altman's, Champion, and Chaburko your 20th. Over, of course, again, another in on wins. Well, folks, it's been a fantastic race night. Thanks for joining us. Big thanks to President Rod Flagg, VP Frank Basilia III, and Larry Camp, Kelly Dahl and Jason Altman from Superspeedway Racing Club for their work behind the scenes, bringing the track action to us on Friday nights. For more information on LSRTV, you can find us online at livesimracing.com. That's livesimracing.com, and on Facebook at facebook.com/livesimracingtv for the latest information on when you can find us here next on iRacing Live. I've been Rachel Whiteford. I've been joined by Brian Macklin. Of course, as always, Francesco Scaramuza on the cameras. You've been watching Friday night's Super Speedway Cup Series here on LSRTV. Have a great night.